Mayor Ken Boshkoff backtracks off of some controversial comments about Thunder Bay's safe drug supply and the homeless. Good evening and thank you for joining us. The mayor has come under fire for an interview he did about drug use in Thunder Bay.
The city has since issued a letter from Boshkoff retracting some of his statements, which included some significant inaccuracies and conflated drug use with homelessness, putting blame for the encampments on the Safe Supply program. Lee Noonan reports.
Mayor Ken Boshkoff says he wants to apologize for his incorrect statements about drug use and safe supply made in an interview with the Chronicle-Journal. He's quoted saying, "It's people coming from all over Canada because this is a great place to be and we provide the drugs. I'm fed up. I'm a very generous and caring person, but they've pushed me way past my limits. I think we're actually making the problem worse." The word is out. Thunder Bay is the party town where you get tents, which they throw in the rivers, sleeping bags, which they throw away, and free drugs. And it's way beyond our capacity. Boshkoff says those comments were made in frustration.
I just wanted to bring public's attention to the fact that an enormous part of my day is spent addressing the issues of opioids and homelessness. So it was really part of the frustration. So I apologize to anybody who might have taken offense, and certainly to the DSAB.
The city published a retraction to social media in which the mayor corrects himself on several points, including the fact that the city does not run a safe supply program. The Thunder Bay DSAB also took to social media to issue their own corrections.
District Social Service Board does not provide free drugs. I think the most important thing is that they're focused on transitional housing.
There is a safe supply program in the city. It's federally funded and run by Norwest Community Health Centers. In contrast to the mayor's assertion that safe supply is drawing hundreds of thousands of people to the city, Norwest CEO Anita Lawson says their program has only 30 clients and all of them have lived in the city for at least 5 years.
We have to be very cautious when we talk about encampments and drug use, poverty and drug use, because again, it just allows us to dehumanize people.
The pilot program launched about a year ago, and Lawson says the preliminary results are very encouraging. Mayor Boshkoff says he was encouraged to hear where there are positive results from initiatives like the Norwest Safe Supply program, and that he will support any program that can help address the social issues facing the city. Lee Noonan, TBT News.
We now know the identity of the man shot and killed by an OPP officer in Kenora on Tuesday. The small First Nation of Wawakapiwin near Big Trout Lake has issued a media release confirming the man was a member of that community. He has been identified as 55-year-old Bruce Frog. The father of 2 daughters is said to have been an avid outdoorsman. The chief and council of the First Nation released a statement announcing Frog's sudden passing and offering condolence to his friends and family. There was no reference made to the OPP or the fatal shooting. The province's Special Investigations Unit is probing the incident, which is said begun with Frog lighting a building at the Anishinaabe Park on fire and then waving large knives at police officers before he was shot. Any eyewitnesses or people with photos or video of the incident are asked to contact the SIU.
Over 12,000 people have signed an online petition against a major lithium mine project being planned near Sandy Lake.
The company behind the project says the petition could spur dialogue and offer more avenues to share information and gain input. Justin Hardy has the story.
The petition was started by a Sandy Lake band member. It has amassed over 12,000 signatures, and it calls on Sandy Lake leadership to stop the PAC lithium project. The petition claims that if the project were allowed to start, it would have serious negative consequences on the environment. Clara Lozier is the Director of Sustainability at Frontier Lithium. She says the company is aware of the petition and describes it as another avenue to let people know more about the project and gain input with community members.
We know that community members have strong feelings about mining, as they should. And what we're trying to do is share more information to encourage and spur dialogue, like we're hearing and seeing in the petition. So, our thoughts really are about shaking out what those concerns are and having people be open and share their values and concerns with us.
The planned PAC project will have 2 open pits for mining lithium ore, which Lozier assures is much more environmentally friendly than the conventional lithium brine extraction. Sandy Lake Chief Dolores Kakaganik says the project has its pros and cons, but her biggest concern is if the company will clean up after the mine closes.
We already got burnt a long time ago, especially our elders when the Favorable Lake mine was closed down. I don't know if you've seen it on any pictures in the media. Like, it's just a big yellow blob by Favorable Lake. It was never cleaned up. It looks ugly. And that's the picture people have in their heads, is that's how it's going to look.
Favorable Lake Mine mainly operated in the 1940s, long before many mine regulations were put in place. Now mines are required to have a plan to return their sites to a state that supports the ecosystem the way it had before their projects began.
We are looking to go one step further, and we're looking to have the communities actually build that plan with us, because there may be things that communities want to have an input on what it might look like at the end of the day. Maybe it's the introduction of more native tree species. Maybe it's maybe there's areas where they used to harvest blueberries or medicines that they would like to bring back.
The exploration agreement was signed back in 2016, 2 years before Kakaganik became chief. She says the community needs more information on the project.
We have a pretty good idea of what they're proposing, but the community, every time they say community consultation, it's not really a consultation. It's maybe one or two people, or nobody shows up, or and then, but this exploration agreement has been in effect for 8 years already?
Justin Hardy, TBT News.
Dryden OPP are investigating a fatal collision last night involving an SUV and a transport. The fiery crash happened around 9:30 on Highway 17 near Jackfish Lake, about 40 kilometers east of Dryden. One person in the SUV was pronounced dead at the scene. The occupants of the transport sustained minor injuries. OPP say a postmortem will be conducted to determine the identity of the deceased. The highway was closed for over 9 hours before fully reopening at 7 o'clock this morning.
A local driver has been charged by city police following a multi-vehicle crash yesterday afternoon. It happened around 3:30 at the corner of John and Water Streets. Police say a pickup truck was in the wrong lane and nearly collided with an oncoming vehicle. It then swerved off the road and struck 3 vehicles in a parking lot. A 37-year-old Thunder Bay man has been charged with impaired driving, dangerous driving, and breach of probation. Ontario Liberal leader Bonnie Crombie says if she's elected premier, she'll launch an investigation into what she calls the Ford government's shady backroom deals, like the decision to abruptly close the Ontario Science Centre.
Ford continues to face backlash over his government's handling of the popular Toronto tourist site. CTV's John Woodward tells us more.
Call it a symbolic act. That's NDP MP Kristen Wong-Tam taking down a section of fence outside Ontario's Science Centre.
It belongs to Doug Ford. It belongs to the children and the families in this community.
The fences erected in a hurry Friday as the provincial government declared the building unsafe, even though the engineers' report they relied on gave them other options to keep the building open.
This is demolition by neglect.
NDP leader Marit Stiles told a rally she believed the Science Centre didn't have to close.
We all know Ford's motive here. It's just to justify his mega spa, his vanity project at Ontario Place.
The shocking closure galvanizing support. Renowned artificial intelligence pioneer Jeffrey Hinton promising to donate $1 million.
I think it's a wonderful place.
And AI startup founder Aidan Gomez, whose dad brought kids to the Science Centre in the 1990s, pledged $250,000.
And it was such a exciting place to be. It was so inspiring.
With other donations, the total is already almost $3 million. The catch, the Science Centre has to stay put.
Flemington Park is a challenged neighborhood. They don't have a lot of opportunities, and this is such a wonderful opportunity for them.
The City of Toronto also exploring options.
It's their building, but it's our land. And that if they are intent on bringing a wrecking ball to the Science Centre, that we have an opportunity to intervene.
Doug Ford cannot be trusted with your money. And that's why today I'm committed to undoing his shady backroom deals.
Ontario Liberal Party leader Bonnie Crombie said if elected, she would start an investigation into the current government over the Science Centre and other controversial moves.
And that was CTV's John Woodward reporting. OPP have charged 2 people in Nipigon with drug trafficking after searching a Harkness Street home on Tuesday afternoon. 2 31-year-olds were arrested after officers found cocaine, crack cocaine, and magic mushrooms, as well as cash. One of the accused has been released with a court date later this summer, while the other is being held in custody pending a court appearance tomorrow.
CP Rail is dealing with a train derailment in this region. It happened around 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon in a remote area east of Kenora. Railway officials say there were no injuries and there's no threat to public safety. Approximately 11 cars carrying intermodal shipping containers were involved. Fortunately, none of the derailed cars were carrying dangerous goods. CP crews were on site today working on the cleanup. The cause of the derailment is under investigation. A welcoming ceremony was held today for the newest cruise ship to visit our city.
The Pearl Mist arrived at the Thunder Bay waterfront this morning on its 15-day voyage from Toronto to Duluth. Jaden Billick has the story.
The Pearl Mist is operated by Pearl Sea Cruises and can carry up to 210 passengers. City officials Paul Pepe and Mayor Ken Boschkoff, along with a few others, had the chance to meet with the captain and crew to chat about previous travels by the ship and exchange gifts with one another. The ceremony ended with a luncheon, followed by a grand tour of the ship. Captain George Sorden spoke about touring the Great Lakes.
Superior is unpredictable, so we need to be very careful where we sail and when. But the places that we visit until now that are amazing, and the people that are amazing. So we look forward to be around here. We will be, of course, in contact with our owners and all the team that is working for this. And, well, let's see, next year and years that follow, we'll be around.
This is the first year that this vessel has been in Lake Superior. The decision can be attributed to the growing trend in the discovery and expedition cruise market, which shows that smaller ships are very much interested in the Great Lakes, as these destinations can offer passengers more intimate itineraries. This in turn can offer more knowledge about the rich history of cities such as Thunder Bay.
Well, today, we're welcoming the inaugural visit of the Pearl Mist with Pearl Seas Cruises, and this is their first of 2 stops here in Thunder Bay, and the first time they've visited us, and certainly not the last. They'll be here again in a couple of days, and they're already selling their cruises for next year, so we'll see them back in 2025.
After some conversation amongst city officials, the captain, and great passenger feedback, it sounds like Thunder Bay might just be a regular stop. The Pearl Mist will be back here Sunday, June 30th, docking at 9 a.m. and departing Canada Day at 6 a.m. Jaden Billick, TBT News.
One of Thunder Bay's favorite pastimes from 40 years ago is making a comeback this weekend. Goods & Co. Market is set to transform into a disco dance roller rink on Saturday night as they host their first ever throwback to Wheelies Event. Wheelies Roller Rink was a popular spot in the city back in the 1980s. It was located on Cobalt Crescent and closed for good in the early 1990s. Now Goods & Co. is bringing the retro 80s dance vibes back with the track located around the main floor at the market. All ages are welcome from 6 to 8 p.m., followed by 19+ time slots from 8 to 10. Participants will need to bring their own roller skates or rollerblades for the event and are encouraged to wear a retro outfit to win the Best Dressed prize. Goods & Co. owner Malin Hurley says they're excited to host the event as Wheelies is such a fun part of Thunder Bay's history.
It was definitely a place that holds a lot of nostalgic feelings. Just to go and roller skate with the friends, birthday parties. There's a lot of quirky things that people remember of Wheelies, like Big Fuzzy Dice on the dance floor and the hippo mascot and popcorn and cake and just like that, all the fun things that come with a big community space like that.
Tickets are $20. They'll be available at the door or online ahead of the event.
And Riley, we were talking, you're a little younger to remember
yeah.
Wheelies. I certainly remember going to birthday parties there when I was a kid.
Around.
And Fiona, I couldn't help but notice your face light up when you saw the video.
Pure excitement.
And those old photos of Wheelies.
I was in one of those photos. Just kidding, just kidding. I wasn't actually, but I could have been.
Yeah.
One thing to note, though, we didn't mention, but has been mentioned on some of the announcements for it, that folks might want to consider bringing elbow knee pads, maybe a helmet.
Yeah, good call.
If you are going back to go on the floor for the Wheelies event, just remember you are not 18 anymore. You don't bounce the way you used to. That's all I'm going to suggest on that. But oh, that looks like so much fun. And you know what? Given the weather on the weekend, might be a good idea to stay indoors. Now, today wasn't a bad day. It was actually quite seasonal, 23. We had an overnight low of 6. Winds were very light for the most part from the west, 10 to 29 kilometers per hour. Sunny start. It started to cloud over a little bit in the afternoon, but still a fair amount of sunshine. And across the region, temperatures were a little bit on the cool side in some locations, and that's because the clouds were clearing out overnight. That makes it a little bit cooler to start, but we've warmed up back into the 20s for the most part. Winds are off the lake, so Marathon is currently at 14, Wawa at 12. Those are the two outliers, but everywhere else, fairly nice temperatures. We've got a lot of increasing clouds to the north, but still mostly sunny in Fort Frances and Sault Ste. Marie. However, that could be just kind of the calm before the storm. Here in the city of Thunder Bay, we are going to see the clouds start to roll in after midnight. The winds will start out from the south, but start to rotate in from the east, and we're looking at a low of 11. As we head into Friday, this is where things get dicey around Lake Superior. We are going to have a weather statement at this time warning that there's going to be a lot of rain, 30 to 45 millimeters by the time this system moves through, and it's going to affect a whole slew of regions in northwestern Ontario and around Lake Superior. So I suggest tonight you get out there, enjoy the evening as much as you can, but don't panic when I say there's a lot of rain coming in for the weekend, because remember, we have a 3-day weekend. So even if it's a rough start, Mother Nature's going to come through in the end.
Okay, well, that is good to hear, Fiona, because people may have trouble getting out and getting on some flights out of the city as well. That's because one of the top stories nationally today is that WestJet has begun canceling more flights ahead of a possible strike from some of its workers tomorrow. We'll have details on that and more when your news hour continues right after the break.
They did give us a warning that there could be disruption due to the mechanics going on strike.